Okay, so here we are at the beginning of chapter 2 of Hatchet. You're probably thinking, I mean, a lot of things are probably going through your head. But what I'm going to ask you to do is, and I hope this is working for you, that you pause whenever I tell you to pause. Just pause the video, and when you come back, I'm right there. Because I'm not pausing. So read chapter 2 up until page 15 at the very top of the page. So that's like a page and a half. So go ahead and read that, pause, and then come right back. Okay, so you're at the top of page 15. I'm going to read this part with you because I love it. I mean, I don't love it, but it's exciting. He had to fly it somehow, had to fly the plane. He had to help himself. The pilot was gone beyond anything he could do. He had to try and fly the plane. What would you do? So stop and jot. That means pause and write down what you think you would do right now. And then come right back to me. Okay, so now that you're back, I'm going to ask that you read pages 15 and 16 until the second to last paragraph of page 16. So go ahead and do that, pause it, and then come back to me. Okay, so near the bottom of page 16, it says, slightly to the left and below the altimeter, he saw a small rectangular panel with a lighted dial and 2 knobs. Can you imagine? I mean, I don't know what any of those things are on a plane. I fly all the time, and I don't know any of those things. His eyes had passed over it. It had passed it over. Did you see what I did? I messed up. I switched the 2 words around, and so I went back and corrected it. His eyes had passed it over 2 or 3 times before he saw what was written in tiny letters on top of the panel. Transmitter 221. What are you thinking? Like, if it's a transmitter, it's got to be a what? It was stamped in the middle, and it hit him, finally, that this was the radio. Radios transmit things. The radio, of course, he had to use the radio. And do you remember the pilot had on the headphones, and he had the microphone, so he was talking on that radio. So now, go ahead and keep reading. He's going to have to do some pretty tough stuff in the next couple of pages. So I'm going to let you read that. Pages 16, 17, 18, and 19. And when you get to the top of page 19, stop and come back to me. So pause and then come back when you get to page 19. Okay, so here he is on the top of page 19. It stopped, so he's gotten contact with somebody, right? I'm sorry, I'm shaking. I'm so excited. Oh, did I lose you? Oh, no, I'm sorry. I messed up. So he's talking to somebody. It stopped, and Brian hit his mic switch. I hear you. This is me. He released the switch. Roger, I have you now. And Roger means, yeah, I mean, I've got you. I understand you. I heard what you were saying. And remember, the guy told him, you have to say over when you're finished. Your Uncle Dave could tell you all about this kind of stuff because he worked with fighter jets for all of his career. Says, Roger, I have you now. The voice was very faint and breaking up. Please state your difficulty and location and say over to signal the end of the transmission. Over. So, please state my difficulty, Brian thought. God, my difficulty? I'm in a plane with a pilot he can't fly, and I don't know how to fly. Help me, help. What didn't he say? Over. He turned his mic off without ending transmission properly. Now, keep reading, find out what happens. Keep reading until you get to the bottom of page 20 and then come back. So pause, and I'll see you at the bottom of page 20. Okay, so he just said, Parts of books he'd read about flying came to him, how wings worked, how the propeller pulled the plane through the sky. Simple things that wouldn't help him now. Are those simple to you? I have to tell you, your Uncle Dave knows a lot about planes. I do not. They are not simple. What do you know about how a plane works? Jot down some things that you know about how a plane works, and then come back. Okay, so hopefully you have a few things, and I'd love to hear when we talk what you know about how a plane works. But it says nothing could help him now. Go ahead and keep reading until you get to the bottom of page 22. It's getting pretty exciting and scary. Press pause. I'll see you on the page, bottom of page 22. It all made sense. It was one of the last paragraphs. Glide down, then slow the plane and hit. Hit. He would have to find a clearing as he went down. What does he mean by find a clearing? So I'm thinking, when I'm thinking about a word that maybe I don't know exactly what it means, but I know that if he needs to find something to land on, he's going to have to find something that doesn't have all those trees. Remember, he's talked about all he sees is trees, trees, trees. He's going to have to find a clearing. And it says the problem with that was that he hadn't seen one clearing since they'd started flying over the forest. Some swamps, but they had trees scattered through them. No roads, no trails, no clearings. Just the lakes. And then it came to him. What came to him? Finish that sentence. He's going to have to land on a lake, isn't he? So now I'm going to ask you to keep reading until you get to the end of chapter 2, middle of page 24. Okay, you've finished chapter 2. Crazy, isn't it? And I love this, the third to last paragraph ends saying he tried to be ready. He tried to visualize it. He tried to be ready. And then what's the last line? Read it with me. Brian pushed the nose of the plane down and threw up. He is scared out of his ever-loving mind. Okay, I'm going to stop this video. We're going to make it number 2, and then we'll come back and do number 3. See you on the flip side, girlfriend.